Local businesses constantly waste thousands and thousands of dollars trying to get ads to work. Maybe they go with an agency or a freelancer. They try to hire someone internally, but so many seem to never be able to get it to work. And therefore, they just rely on referrals or word of mouth or whatever other kind of organic sources are bringing them clients. And the problem with that is there's no predictability in their revenue. They're kind of guessing each month. They're starting fresh. They don't know for sure what they're going to bring in every single month. So that's why ads are so important. And in this video, I'm going to cover why local businesses waste so much money on advertising. It never works and what you can do to fix it. We're going to cover a few different things, kind of like a larger thing of when you work with your marketing team, why there are issues there. Second, some more strategic and tactical ways to fix that. And then a couple other bonus things that I've thrown in. So if you haven't seen my channel before, you don't know me. My name is Kyle Bacus. I've been in marketing for over 3 years now and sales too. And I help all different kinds of businesses with their client acquisition processes. I worked with local businesses, national businesses, all kinds. But the companies I really love to work with and get the best results with are local businesses. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So the core problem that most local businesses have when they're trying to get ads to work, because usually what happens is they work with someone to do it for them, or they try to figure it out themselves and they're still just not aligned with what really they should be focused on. And that's why the core problem is a misaligned focus. So most businesses focus way too much on what does the ad look like? What is the ad going to say? Well, how is this going to generate us a lead? Really, the ad is just to get the click. And then from there, that's where the real disconnect begins between agencies and businesses. You can sub agencies in for your marketing team, a freelancer, even you trying it yourself. So what most local businesses do is let's say you're working with an agency or doing it yourself, they're looking at the ads to generate leads or appointments because that's what everyone thinks. Okay, the ad is supposed to generate leads and appointments. So if they see high costs on those leads or appointments, they start turning stuff off. And if they see lower costs, they're like, oh, great, we're getting leads for $5. This is amazing. We should keep spending money on this. But what happens is after you keep spending money on those cheap leads, most local businesses start to realize these leads aren't turning over into customers. And then they start saying, oh, these leads are bad. Our agency sucks. Our marketing team sucks. I don't know how to run Facebook ads. I'm clearly doing something wrong. Like they start to blame that front part. And because they think, oh, it's a lower cost, it should be producing, but it's not. So the gap really, now if we look at, the marketer, let's call it, is looking for good lead and appointment costs because they're being compensated or rewarded for volume at lower costs. But the business owner is focused on revenue and profitability. So that clearly shows a gap. If the objective over here for the marketer is cheap leads and cheap appointments, and the objective over here is paying customers, those aren't aligned. To really have this work, everyone needs to be aligned on the same thing, which is profitable paid customers. That's it. And that's why so many people struggle with this because the goals of the two sides are always misaligned. You need to bring them together. It's never going to work. So I kind of just said this, but the right metrics that you should be looking at are the cost per customer, not the cost per lead, not the cost per appointment. So many businesses panic, turn stuff off that's too expensive. But think about it this way. If I came and worked with you and you said, hey, I want 100 leads and I want them at $10. Cool. So I turn it on. We spend $1,000. I get you 100 leads, $10. You get one customer. Then I could come back to you and say, hey, how about instead of the $10 per lead target, you let me get you leads for $100 and we'll get 10 of those. Let's say 3 of those convert. We spend $1,000. Now our cost to acquire a customer is $333. So that's a third of what it costed you before. That's why it's more important to look at the cost per customer, not just the cost per lead or cost per appointment. Those numbers matter, but not really that much. So to get into what causes that, what is really the problem here? And it's the lead to customer gap. Like I said, a lot of people can generate leads, they can generate appointments, but the hardest part is getting them to actually turn into a customer and sign up for your services. Whether it's low ticket stuff or high ticket stuff, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. There will be a gap if you do not do this properly. And that's what really breaks it for most people. So the first part of this, and I kind of am going back a little bit on what I just said, but it's a very important point. The lead to conversion gap, the first problem is poor lead quality. Like we talked about earlier, I can work with you and get you 100 leads at $10, and that would be awesome. But if none of them turn into customers, we know the lead quality is too low. And typically, what I've seen is a lot of companies will try to use like discounts or promotions or that kind of stuff. And if you're selling like a higher price, like a patio cover or like synthetic or natural grass installation, like landscaping makeover, stuff like that, that's, a couple thousand or more. What kind of buyer do you think that's attracting? It's going to attract people who want bargains. These aren't really going to be the people who are like, man, I want to put $10,000 into renovating my backyard. Like that's just, it's not going to attract the right type of person. So then when you get people on the call, there's this mismatch in expectations and it leads to just lower conversion rates. And that's when you see, hey, we're getting tons of leads for super cheap. This is great, but none of them are actually buying. And that's a problem. And that's where a lot of companies either give up on ads or churn to the next person. They work with the next agency or the next whoever. So problem number two is a lack of warming up. If you're getting leads or appointments, that's great, but you have to capture that momentum. So many times people generate leads, they get back to them a couple days later, they call them, they have some like contact us form. People never respond to that kind of stuff. You need a very efficient system to take that interest. So that's someone clicking a lead or clicking an ad, filling out a form, booking an appointment, whatever it is, and keep that momentum going through. The more time you give someone, the more they start to think to themselves, well, I could use that money for this instead, or I could use it for this instead, or I don't really need this. Maybe we push it off till next season. There's all these objections that pop up in their head, and you need to make sure that you're handling those objections and pre-selling to pull that person forward and get them to that sales appointment and get them closed as fast as possible, or you'll lose them. This is literally like a 72-hour window for the most part. Anything outside of that, it's doable, but the conversion rates drop drastically. So you want to make sure you're pulling people through the sales system, not letting them just kind of slowly make their way through, or else your ads aren't going to be profitable. So I kind of talked about the pre-selling, so that critical window where you build trust and address those objections. So let's go into the pre-selling magic. This is the most important thing that you can do when you get a lead or a booked appointment. And it's the stuff that you're sending them after booking. So educational emails addressing common objections. What I like to do with my clients is if they have sales call recordings or just general market research on what typical objections are, we'll meet with sales teams too, but typical objections are, we actually take those transcripts, put them into AI, and it starts to pull out all the ones that are the top objections. So now if we know that we're getting these objections on sales calls, why don't we just handle them up front? If you're having financial issues with people who are getting on those calls, just handle it up front and disqualify the people who can't financially afford it or people who are not ready to make the investment. It's completely okay to do that because now you open up your sales team or your field team, however your sales process works, to take on more high quality appointments that are more likely to convert. So instead of having 10 or 15 or 20% conversion rates, you're getting them booked with high quality appointments and seeing 50, 60% conversion rates. So next is going to be video testimonials to build trust, case studies showing real results, even blog posts just talking about expertise, anything you can do to build trust, build confidence in the decision making and moving people, again, pulling them through that system, ultimately going from lead to customer. So the third problem is weak brand trust. So a couple basic things, professional website, you got to make sure you're looking good. More and more local businesses are starting to do this because it's just so cheap and easy to get a good website. So make sure you have that. Great Google reviews. So I actually just talked to a guy who does patio covers, and he said, if you get someone to check out your Google listing and it looks solid and you have good reviews, so on and so forth, they're probably going to buy. So we're working with them, or going to be working with them to just set up a more structured system to cause that to happen. The last one is going to be real photos. Like I said, a lot of companies have good professional websites now, but what they're missing is showing your work, your team, like actual faces. A lot of websites have like these kind of basic generic images. Everyone can tell they're fake. But here, like you've got, the whole team standing out front, 5-star reviews. It seems more personal. You want it to feel more of like they're meeting you in person. The more you can do that on your site, or quicker the trust builds, and the more likely people are to actually book an appointment, become a lead, and work with you. So one other piece, and this is kind of like a bonus tip, retargeting. So what happens when you run ads is you run ads and people will see the ad, they won't click the ad, but they'll actually search you on Google. And what a lot of companies don't do is run Google ads to their business's name. So when you run Google ads to your business's name, when they search you, you're going to pop up first. So likely what happens if you look up your name, you'll probably see some other companies end up at the top because they're paying for those ads. You want to make sure that you're up there. You might be lucky, you might not see any competitors, but still you should pay for those keywords. Make sure you're ranking for your name. Make sure you're paying for ads on your names. Relatively cheap to do it too. And those are the most qualified, usually the most qualified leads. So one other, I kind of already just discussed this. I got ahead of myself. So the path to profitable local advertising, you got to focus on the right metrics. You want to improve the lead quality. You want to build brand trust. So you strengthen that online presence and reviews. And then you want to pre-sell effectively. This is the biggest thing that you could change that will really make your ads profitable. So that's all I got for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want us to take a look at your marketing, at your advertising, or even help you build a strategy from the ground up, go to onaigroup.com, onaigroup.com, schedule a call, and we're happy to walk through what you got going on. All right. Thanks for watching this video.